Well, good evening and welcome to night 3 of our 6:30 Election Central special. I am Rolly Hoyt, so glad you could be with us. How many of you have already made up your minds about the presidential election? I imagine it's a lot of you. That's why tonight we want to highlight a few of the other races that you'll see. Might surprise you to see them on your ballot. But before we do that, let's look back at what we've done over the last couple of days. Back on Monday, we took a closer look at ballot issue number 1. That's the proposal to expand the Lottery Scholarship Fund to allow VOTEC students. We also got an in-depth look at the proposed Little Rock sales tax. Then yesterday, we tackled the complicated casino ballot measure, issue number 2. We also heard from the 2 candidates who are campaigning for the 9th spot on the Little Rock Board of Directors. You can find all of those interviews and explainers right now on THV 11+. But as we said, we want to use tonight to take a look at some of those other major statewide races. Of course, we are selecting a new chief executive of the United States, but here in Arkansas, we get to vote on the person who acts as the chief executive of the state judicial branch. That's the Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court. This one is actually a runoff election, and there's a couple of moving parts, so follow along. The current Chief Justice, Dan Kemp, is retiring. Earlier this year, 3 of his colleagues announced plans to run for his job. They squared off along with one other candidate on Super Tuesday back in March. That's when Justices Karen Baker and Rhonda Wood secured the most votes. Now they face off in the runoff here during the general election. What makes this race interesting is the role it could play in future ballot initiatives. Over the summer, Wood and Baker found themselves on opposing sides when it came to allowing the abortion access proposal onto the ballot. In fact, Associate Justice Wood wrote the majority opinion, with Justice Baker writing a scathing dissent. The fact they ended up writing those opinions just a coincidence, but it has become a sort of litmus test for the 2 candidates. You can learn more about that case and why this race is being defined by other recent rulings like that one. It's right now on THV11.com. No matter the outcome, both are still going to be on the high court, and Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders will get to appoint a new justice to fill their seat of the winner. So that'll be there until the next election in 2026. Let's turn now to the race for state treasurer. It's a position that Arkansans actually voted on just 2 years ago. You might recall Mark Lowry took office in January of 23, but suffered 2 strokes during the first few months on the job. He announced his plans to retire, but then he died just days after sharing that news. Well, Governor Sanders appointed Wayne Long to the position right after Lowry's death, but he can't keep the job, so now voters will choose one of 3 candidates to take over. Secretary of State John Thurston is looking to secure his 3rd different position in Arkansas state government and practically move across the hall in the state capitol. The Republican first elected in 2010 as the land commissioner, then served 2 terms and elected in 2018 as the Secretary of State. He's recently made headlines for his rejections of the abortion access and medical marijuana expansion ballot measures, all over technical issues regarding paid canvassers. Law professor John Pagan once served in the Arkansas Senate. He's running as a Democratic challenger. During his time in the state Senate, Pagan sponsored a bill that would create the Arkansas Academic Challenge Scholarship Program. The Libertarian challenger, Michael Packo, he's a well-known economist. You see him here on our air quite often. He's been the chief economist at UA Little Rock's Arkansas Economic Development Institute. Now, if Thurston wins that election, the governor would get to appoint a new Secretary of State until the next election. In fact, depending on how these votes turn out, the governor could get to appoint 2 new Supreme Court justices as well. We also want to briefly touch on the various state House and Senate races. We've got a quick refresher for you. The Arkansas House of Representatives is made up of 100 lawmakers. The Senate made up of 35. Republicans have controlled both chambers since 2012 with a supermajority since 2016. Let's break that down a little more for you. Right now, there are 82 Republicans and 18 Democrats in the House. 54 of those seats are up for grabs this election. And then in the Senate, there are 29 Republicans and 6 Democrats, and there are races for 7 of those seats. Now, if you're unsure if you'll have to vote on a state rep or a Senate race, you can find a sample ballot. We've got links to voterview.org. And as we wrap up this round robin of races, we want to take a closer look at one more of those congressional races. Representative Bruce Westerman there, hoping to hold on to his seat in District 4. His Democratic challenger, Rezie Howard, coming from Pine Bluff, is looking to unseat him. District 4 covers a large part of the state. Whoever wins the race will represent areas as diverse as Garland and Jefferson County, as well as parts of Pulaski County this time around. The two candidates met on the Arkansas PBS debate stage a few weeks ago, where they talked about several hot-button issues, including gun control.
First of all, let me say that I believe in the Second Amendment, which is a right to bear arms. Arkansas is a hunting state, and I think that what we need to do is concentrate more on mental health, and we also need to concentrate more on gun safety. The Arkansas Game and Fish, they have hunting safety programs for young people. I'd like to see something like that expanded. But the American people have a right to bear arms. I think we need to keep the assault weapons off the street. And I really think we need to focus on mental health, which brings me to the fact that Congressman Westerman voted against the Mental Health Matters Act. And that act provides for mental health post-COVID in schools for educators, families, and students. And he voted against that.
Congressman, 1 minute.
So I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. The Second Amendment says it guarantees the right of the people to bear arms, and it says it shall not be infringed. The problem with gun violence is it's always a criminal that's performing gun violence. And I think we focus too much on the guns and not enough on the criminals. We need to have stricter penalties for people who commit gun violence. And plain and simple, criminals don't obey the law. And it's always going to be a criminal that violates the law. And attacking the gun is the wrong place to attack. We've got to focus on the criminal, and whether that's mental illness or whatever it is, the emphasis needs to be on those breaking the law, not on the legal gun owners who are practicing their Second Amendment right.
And remember, you can watch that full debate from a couple of weeks back. It's on our streaming service, THV11 Plus. Always a reminder, it's free to download. You can get it on your Roku TVs, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV Plus devices. You'll also find other Arkansas PBS congressional debates. Well, we don't expect you to remember all of that. Keep it at the top of your heads as you head to the polls. That's why we've got a complete 2024 voter guide. We've made it handy and portable. Just text the word VOTE to 501-376-1111, and we'll send it straight to your device.